So I just want to welcome everyone to this wonderful uplifting series that we hope that will uplift the oneness of the hearts of all humanity. Using technology and spirituality and the science coming together now in these times of COVID-19 and a new year that blesses us with expanding consciousness, raising consciousness, and speaking heart to heart. And today, before we open, I just want to thank everyone for joining the circle and honoring the sacred space that we all are, because everyone's voice in the circle is very, very important, and everyone is equal. But in times of having circles, we also want to honor that the most important space is sometimes holding the space, and that sometimes the listener is the most important person to listen from their heart what our wonderful speaker will be sharing today. And today I wanted to welcome us to the Algonquin Anishinaabe territory, the sacred land of the Algonquins, on which many of us are blessed to live and work and play and live our passions of service for a higher cause than ourselves. So in this journey of uplifting consciousness, this series is about honoring the space to welcome leaders such as today, Jennifer Clark, evolutionary and energy guide, TV host, social architect, and Soul Sisters Network, whom I've been blessed to know about for many years and have watched her bring love and light to many different people to awaken to their own soul's energy and our greatest aspirations as a humanity at this time to discover the goodness in all of our hearts. And so today I don't want to take much more time. I would like to have everyone simply share their name and who they are and who are part of this circle today. And I want to open by sharing a short poem by a friend of mine. It's called Songs to the Spirit, Conversations with Silence. And it's by Adam Guzman Poole. And the very last poem that he wrote in this beautiful book is titled Journey of the Heart. So I'd invite us all to hold space in our own hearts right now to listen to his words. Let your heart soar upon imagination's wings. Today we fly on an epic journey across the great unknown, high above the far-reaching seas, towards the land of dreams. We take the path of the heart, where visions come beam. Take my hand, let's go. And so on behalf of the Wutui Wellness Learning Center and the website OWL, I would like to honor and bless all of you for joining us today and linking our minds and hearts as we have this goal to soar. And thank you all for coming, Shig Miigwech, and my name is Judith King Matheson. And thank you, Lindsay, Lila, for helping us use the technology of the times to welcome the guests into this circle today, and especially the guest that we have been blessed to have for the next 50 minutes to share who she is, her story, and how she helps many souls to soar. So Leila, have the floor, please.
Oh, my name is Lindsay Leela, and well, my name here is Leela Magic Wells, spiritual name. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for all your work.
Pardon me?
Thank you, Leila, for all your work. Without you, this technology would not be taking place.
Yeah, it's really fun that we can do this all together. And thanks, Jennifer, for being here as our speaker today. Thanks for welcoming us all, Judith. So go ahead, your turn, Jennifer.
Okay, well, does anyone have any questions? I mean, I wasn't really, what can I say? It's been a 20-year experience in the Ottawa area. I've learned kind of, funny enough, I'm on television so much that I've learned to sort of be more quiet, if that makes any sense, as I get older. I'm just kind of like tired of talking, and I mean that in the nicest possible way, because that's my gift, is speech and oration and helping people perhaps consider a different perspective of things. I'm not sure how you want to take this day today, Judith, or what the theme is. So I'll just kind of give you a synopsis, and then perhaps someone can ask me some questions, and that might help the direction go, because there's, in a 20-year journey, there's a lot that has happened. So how did it all start? I would say 1999, maybe. I became a Reiki master, I believe. And then I met, Doreen Virtue, before she changed her mind about things, in sort of through her books. And then I was in corporate Canada, feeling quite satisfied with my career path at that time, but feeling sort of not fulfilled inside. So the outside was doing well, the inside was like, oh, is there nothing else? So I would read spiritual books. My family grew up with psychics. My parents had their own personal psychic. My parents' friends were psychics from the UK, and they were like the weirdest, coolest types of theosophy, and they had all the cool metaphysical objects in their home. And as a kid, it was like this museum of like, wow, where am I? I would read Ruth Montgomery by age 10. I was reading about past lives, and Edgar Casey, and that's how I grew up. Interesting though, my dad was a very devout Catholic, an altar boy at St. Anthony's, and my mom was Greek Orthodox, both very, little Catholic traditions, very though respecting their culture and their tradition. So they broke the rules really by kind of being different and sort of reaching into the world of the occult or the mystical. But that's okay. And they knew that was okay too, because they also work from their heart space. And all these people were heart-centered, individuals. So I really grew up with a sense of the other. It was when I was 12, my parents took us to Hawaii for Christmas. When I was 12, my sister was 10. Back then in the 70s, parents didn't care about a lot of things they cared about now. So we were on our own. We were on like walking a Diamond Head by ourselves, which is an hour walk, like two little girls on a beach in a strange country by themselves, and your parents are like miles away, and they didn't really worry about it back then. And a couple of things happened on that walk. Diamond Head is a sacred site of Hawaii, of the indigenous peoples there. I didn't know that. I was 12. I just knew there was like a magnet drawing us to this beautiful, it's very big, so you can't help miss it or see it. So we were drawn to this place. And my sister and I observed that we knew where we were going. Like we would have past life memories. But now I know what it was. That then, like, it was more of the confidence of a child. Yeah, we go here, we go there. We turn left, we'll get there. So when we're on this walk, let's just say an unsavory character came across us. And again, now I can put words to it, but back then, both of our energy fields went like a wall. There was an invisible wall that came between us and him. And now I knew he was trying to lure us away. Like he was trying to get us off the beach, away from people. And I remember like a voice in my head kicking in and kind of just saying, no, like be forceful, like, grab your sister and like barrel through him. Like, lucky from us, he was little. He wasn't a big person. And he didn't pursue us. So again, it wasn't like a negative. It was just an odd experience. And then later that day, we didn't even tell our parents, frankly. It was kind of like a non-issue for us. Later that day, my dad had rented a car and we were going to go sightseeing on the island of Oahu. So Oahu's where Lost was filmed, where Magnum PI was filmed. And during that time, I'm 51, so that was the time of Magnum PI. So lo and behold, Magnum PI is being filmed on location at the beach we were at, which their location is actually a golf course in Hawaii on the island of Oahu. And my parents again divert to the film crew and the film set, and who wouldn't, like it's Tom Selleck, like, so like everyone, was looking, and we were bored and hot, so we went down to the beach. Well, unbeknownst to us, again, we're, no offense, the white kids off the island. Hawaiians have a name for us, like owlies, like the local, like non-locals, like basically silly people that jump in the ocean and not look at the undertow. So my sister and I were very good swimmers. My parents didn't worry about the ocean because they knew we could swim, but they didn't understand about undertows. Nor did they understand about the North Shore in Hawaii. So if you ever heard about North Shore Hawaii, it's where the big waves are. This is where professional surfers come and do those giant tube, like those giant 50-foot waves. So there's no lifeguards on any of these beaches. It would just be impossible for people to patrol the beach. Some of the beaches have lifeguards and a lot don't. And you just kind of have to know, what beach you're going to. So of course, like little kids, we dive right in, right? We swim way out, the gorgeous turquoise water. There we are, floating and having fun. And then we can see our parents on the cliff with Magnum, like Mr. Selleck was there with all his people. It was really cool. You saw the helicopter and all that kind of stuff. So when it was time for us to go back in, like when we were getting tired, I said, okay, Penny, we got to go back in. Well, we couldn't get back into shore because the undertow kept pulling us back in. And I don't think either of us noticed it for about 5 minutes. And I said, we're not moving. Like we're not, we're trying to swim, but then we're being pulled back and then the waves are coming. So the big waves, we were little, I was 12, she was 10, and she was a skinny 10. And so I would say dive under, like a voice said, dive under the waves, like go under the wave. Again, if you're a surfer, that's how you get around a wave. You dive under, you take your board and you go. Again, I had no background in big oceans or places like that. And so we just started going like diving under. And then, I could remember as the older child, and I've always been my sister's protector, going, I think we're in trouble. Like, I don't think this is going to end well. And it was an instant thought of like, there's mom and dad, they can't hear us, they can see us, but they can't necessarily know we're in trouble. And back then I hadn't completed my lifeguard training to do the universal, sign of I'm in like rescue, need help. Well, again, Penny's like, I'm getting tired. And I remember floating on my back and then putting her on my stomach, like kind of giving her a bit of help, like, and then the waves would come and then we'd have to kind of, just dive and deal with it. And that was probably a good 20 minutes. And when you're in a distressed water space, 20 minutes is a long time. It doesn't sound long, but it is long. So all of a sudden I hear someone yelling what I now know is Hawaiian and then English, like a mix of like when you're on the island, you get the language, it's slang. It's interesting. It's an interesting vibe. They have an accent. There's an accent to their English. And it was this brown, beautiful man, of course, an indigenous Hawaiian, on a surfboard, angry that he saw 2 kids out on the North Shore without a surfboard, without like flippers, without anything. So, he kind of motioned to us, stay where you are. And I'm like, yeah, well, we're not going anywhere, dude. Like we can't help you anyway. Like we're just trying to like keep afloat. He slapped us on his board and then got us into shore and just ripped into us. And yep. Yes, all I could say is yes or no, sir. Like, you're right. Yeah, I lived it. I experienced it. I know exactly what you mean. And he kind of made a comment back then, like, you kids are lucky, someone must be looking out for you. And of course, I had that faith anyway. Like, I had that belief system anyway. But I kind of later realized I've been to Hawaii 7 times in my life so far. It's my second home. It's when I work with the local kahunas and the elders there, they would say, yeah, you've been here before. You've done this before. You've been one of us before. And I'm like, yeah, I've been here a long time. And I kind of started to realize then that there was an invisible world of synchronicity, connection, that was all of us, that's there for all of us. and that certain parts of the world have certain power centers for yourself, right? You're individually aligned with certain past lives, past connections. And then, of course, for me, it was like the homing beacon. Maui is my island. So I have a homing beacon that takes me back to Maui a lot. And energetically, even when I do my sacred retreats, my last sacred retreat is in 2018. I took, I think, 14 people to Maui. Even like the sacred sites, like the memories would flood back, and the moments would come back, and the people that I got to meet that normally wouldn't have met, a non-native, an outsider. Again, Hawaiian, it's called auli. Like they keep their, just like most indigenous cultures, it can be closed for good reason. You know, I had access to that. So you know, when I was later in Hawaii in 2007 as an adult, that was my first spiritual retreat that I held. It was a tour of all the islands back then. I met my first dragon, and I didn't know I was in, it's called Iowa Valley in Hawaii, on the island of Maui. And I did not know this. It was a place where they buried their chiefs. So it's a holy place. So in Hawaii, because of the small, like the small island, the Valley of the Chiefs.
Okay.
Yeah. So everything is sacred. So pretty much every place is a burial place. Pretty much every part of the island is sacred territory. It's not like one reserve, it's like the whole island, right? Or the islands. They're going through a lot of problems, you know, political, you know, revolution, the indigenous versus the colonial, and it's a very complicated story on their government. Having said that, when I was in the valley, it was sacred. It's beautiful. You can obviously see it. You can, you know, there's no way you can't miss the beauty of this place. But my friend Larry and I hiked up. Again, we kind of always ignore the tourist signs. We kind of always like, go off the beaten path, as it were. And we hiked up really high, and it was high. Like I was like, wow, how are you gonna get back down there? Like, and it's jungle, like real, like if you've seen the movie Lost, it's very much that energy. And he goes, let's just keep going just a bit more. And I said, yeah, but dude, we got to get back. Like, you know, our tour bus is going to leave our asses, and like, there's no Uber here, you know, like we're not going to be able to get back. So we kept going and kept going. And finally I said, that's it. I got to stop. Look, here's a beautiful, it was a natural outcrop vista where you could kind of sit and look at the valley. Like the jungle was to our left and the valley open was there. So we got our water bottles out and we sat, and we like, oh, you know, you're doing this sort of relaxed awesomeness, you're taking in the awe and beauty of things, and the dragon flew right by us. And it was real life dragon, like not a psychic vision. It was a physical flying creature that there's only one way of describing it. It's a dragon. Like there's no other way. It was like beautiful sort of emerald green with a bit of pink in it, and like it like like the, you know, the sun got it, and it, you know, it did one of those. And I was like, did you, like, we're stunned. And he looks at me, he goes, are you high? And I'm like, no. Are you high? He goes, no. And he goes, did you see that? Yeah, I saw that. So it was only after, you know, 2010, I was doing some training with a medicine person here in Ottawa. In my training, I had a dragon journey that I didn't know. So I was on an animal totem journey, and it ended up to be a dragon. And it was Puff the Magic Dragon, though. So it was the comical kid cartoon came to me, and I was like, well, what's this about? I actually forgotten about seeing the dragon, I'll be honest with you. It's kind of funny. And he said, you know, you're not ready for us yet, but you'll be working with us later on. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like I work with all kinds of animals, so welcome, you know. And then I remembered the dragon in 2007. I'm like, oh yes, okay, well, I've already seen one of your people, so this will be cool. Then in 2017, went to Bali on a sacred retreat. This time I was a participant, not the host, and was called into the jungle. So my name, I was the only one on the lanai. We were in these beautiful grass huts. It was 4 o'clock and it was starting to get dark, and the voice, the jungle started yelling my name, Jennifer, Jennifer, Jennifer. And I'm like, yeah, I don't speak the language. I'm half naked. I don't know where anyone is. I'm not going in there. There's a mongoose or a tiger. It's going to be there, and I'm not going. Like, I'm just, sorry, man, I'm off the clock. So then I reached to the pool. So I went one step further. I went to the pool, and then I went to the garden, and I kind of was edging myself on the property limits to get to this jungle. And we're talking full jungle, dense, you couldn't see in it. And it was getting darker. And I was like, okay, guys, you know what? This is a bit beyond my realm. But the voice, come to the jungle, come to the jungle, come inside, come inside. And I'm like, yeah, no, like, again, I'm still alone. I'm still not dressed properly. I don't have any shoes on. But the compulsion was so powerful. So I went, and I thought, dear God, hope they find my body. Like, you know, it was one of those conversations you're having with yourself going like, please, Mom. I was with my mother and some new friends, and I was like, I hope they can find me. And there was a path, so I knew I wasn't in like totally, you know, new territory. It was someone had gone down this path before. And in Bali, there's sacred sites everywhere. Again, big statues, stone statues, the gods are everywhere. They make their offerings 4 or 5 times a day. It's a very, very sacred site as well. They have a very indigenous kind of concept of life there. And started to see all the beautiful flowers and offerings. I said, well, it can't be that bad. Like if I'm going to be eaten, you know, like at least, you know, there's some pretty things around. And then I heard a man call my name. And again, it was dark. And I was like, now I'm hearing English. Now I'm hearing Jennifer. And I'm like, okay, what the heck is going on? So I follow the voice, and I hear laughter. And I'm like, okay, this is a real human. This is not now in my head. This is a human person. And it turned out to be the owner of the resort's brother, Mr. Raka Agang, who happens to be the Dragon Temple priest. So when I met Mr. Raka, he was like a porter. He was our chauffeur. He was our concierge. He was the nice man. If you need anything, Jennifer, you know, let us know. And when I saw him, he was in full ceremonial robe. In Bali, there's a dress code. Women cannot be covered. Women have to be covered. Their waists have to be tied. They have to wear long sleeve, even if it's like 40 degrees out, they're wearing long sleeve, high neck, long sleeve shirts. Everything's covered, no skin at all. And I was basically half naked. So he didn't like, it wasn't that, he didn't react to that. I react to his ceremonial robe, and I'm like, have I walked, like, am I in a church? Like, I'm sorry. Like, he goes, why are you here? And very curious. And I said, well, Mr. Raka, like a voice was calling me in. And he starts laughing, and he goes, well, you can't go further unless you get dressed. And I'm like, well, I don't, like, I'm not, like, I'm wearing a sarong and a bikini. Like, that's all I got. So he went to, I don't know, his little area, and there was a couple towels, and like, Bali's famous for their material, right? Their sarongs, their cloth. So he kind of like draped something over me. We tied it. Like, I kind of looked like a bit of a summer Sherpa, you know, at the end of it. And I said, well, I'm going somewhere with this getup on. Like, I don't know where I'm going. So we go on a long walk. Again, now it's dark. Again, I'm still wondering, my parent, like, where's my mom? Where's the village? But I knew Mr. Raka, so I felt more safe about it. He finally got to a cave in a mountain. There was a huge underwater cave. It was locked with an old stone gate. You couldn't get in. He had the key. He opens it up. There's 2 big kind of ceremonial statues, and then this big water cave. And right there at the water cave, half out, was a 15-foot black eel. And the black eel was half out of the water, half in the water. And he says, the dragon's been waiting for you. And I said, the dragon? I said, that's an eel. He goes, well, in our culture, we call it the water dragon. And I went, oh, water dragon. I'm starting to click some memories of my dragon connection. And let's just say every day I was there, the water dragon would come greet me. Didn't do that for everybody. And Mr. Raka kind of said, the only way you could have found us and found it was if you were called. You have the dragon energy. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, that's cool. I'm not sure what that, you know, means, but I communed with the ancient ancestors that protected this underwater cave. I did their ceremonies, this beautiful flower ceremonies and water ceremonies, which were just gorgeous to go through. It's very, very sacred, very holy work in Bali, in Indonesia. And then when I came home, I happened to live about a 5-minute walk from the epicenter of the Algonquin medicine wheel at Hog's Back Falls. So I'm in Hog's Back Falls all the time, not knowing that it's a power center for the Algonquin and the Mohawk people that came before me. But other than that, I was, hanging out at a beautiful spot. I wasn't really trying to connect or commune and very intentionally at that time. But then I met the 4,000-year-old dragon that lives underneath Hog's Back Falls. And that, to this day, has been one of the most trippy experiences I've ever had. And he's a giant, he's one of the ancient dragons of the planet. Hog's Back happens to be one of the sacred sites of the portal. He belongs to the first world, where the medicine wheel may be on the second or third world. So it's even beneath them. The Bear clan protects the medicine wheel. The dragon's underneath them. And because of my training and my experiences with other indigenous cultures, I was allowed in. And it came to me, and it was like, whoa. And I was like, what just happened here? And that's when I started working with dragon energy. So a little rewind there is, it sounds fantastical, but in the ancient mystery school teachings, Archangel Metatron is one of the archangels of our universe, let's say, works with the elementals, including dragons. So dragon energy, and that's why they're revered in the Celtic world, in Ireland and Scotland and Wales and all them. In Asia, they still celebrate the dragon dances. What else part of the world? Cultures still revere the dragon. Some parts of the Aztec communities that still exist know that as well. So apparently dragons were on the planet way back when, where the world was different, when the magic worlds were all evil and even, not evil, pardon me, Freudian slip on that, but anyway, when everything was a little brighter and better in the world, the dragons were part of the, the worlds, like ancestors, the angels, the dragons, the elementals. And again, certain cultures remember, certain cultures don't. In North America, obviously they've moved into fantasy and fiction, except for those of us who can see and who have, work to do. And so, I've been working with that angels and dragons for a very long time now, and not really knowing it. And it combines with my ancient wisdom teachings. It combines with, funny enough, it combines with my business background. So I grew up in corporate Canada. I went to the Sprott School of Business. I'm a psych health and safety advisor. So I do a lot of mindfulness in corporate Canada. I do a lot of, empowerment, assertiveness, dealing with difficult people, but also healing and, evolution and magic, and allowing people to see the beauty in life and just magic everywhere. So, my life has been a combination of real tragedy. And my sister died of cancer in 2017. Blew up our family. It's not the same. It will never be the same. That same, in that 3-week period, my business partner and I broke up. My marriage broke up, and my sister died. And I think it was in 3 weeks. Wow. And the only reason, and here's what's really cool, my mom and I talk about, the only reason we got to Bali, for us, Bali was a very far off trip, an expensive kind of the dream trip. It was because my mom had left my sister some money, and we were so burnt out. She had 7 years of cancer. We were 1 year living in ICU in the hospital. I spent a year in ICU in the Ottawa General. It was it was worse for her, hard on us, because I had a child, I had a business, sleeping there, not great, and all that kind of stuff. So we needed a break. And so she says, we're going to Bali. Penny would want us to go. And the only reason why I met that dragon that connected all the others was the death of my sister. So I say that story because sometimes really, really shitty things have to happen for really, really great things to happen. And sometimes the light warriors have to lose a lot in order to gain a lot. And it's been a battle. Trust me, I've been knocking on creators' doors, throwing eggs at it for a long time. And I don't understand it. I'm 51. I still don't know anything. I've learned a lot. I've trained a lot. I have a lot of accreditations. I share a lot. But, you know, it's like, wow, does this really have to happen in order for that? And what's really funny, Judith, is I found the movie Lost, or the TV show Lost again. So Lost was filmed. It was a famous TV show, a sci-fi, spiritual, supernatural show about a mysterious island, a magnetic field, filmed on Oahu. So one, I love the visual because it's a place I know well. But all the sacrifices and the losses, if you get through the whole season, because it gets a little weird, season 6 is a little weird, but if you get to the end, it was kind of a picture of my life. Like, these things had to happen, tragedy had to strike here, 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 and here, in order for this and this and this and this. And there is no death and there is no separation, yada, yada, yada. But it's one thing to say, do you believe in God or creator, when your child is dying? It is another thing when your sister is dying, like when someone you love is dying. And do you believe? Do you believe now? And not many humans are tested that way. And I pray that no one is. It's a terrible, beautiful, terrible place. Like I have PTSD about it, because my sister was not treated well where she was at. By her family, members of, not us, but members of her family and the doctors. And I still have a lot of unresolved, you know, sadness about that, because I couldn't protect her. And it's still an interesting place for me to be, is I'm still here. So now I'm affected by COVID. My business is greatly changed. Like, I hope I can recover. I don't know if I ever can. A 20-year career kind of, okay, start over. So I'm in an identity crisis, like the revolution of identity, you know, letting go of the past, letting it burn, letting it, you know, let you know, everything go down and to be rebuilt. So it's really, really hard when you've spent time building something, right? Whether that's a relationship, a bank account, you know.
There's a huge grief process, Jennifer.
Yeah, it's active grief. So that's another thing I like to share people, you know, that please have compassion for people who are actively grieving. It doesn't ever go away. It just changes. And people who...
Grief, Jennifer, is a transformation process, but it's a process. And one of the things I've learned, because I used to work in palliative care and spiritual care ministry. And when I said one of the greatest teachers on the planet is my husband, I mean any person living with a life-threatening disease are the greatest teachers to help the rest of us wake up to the significance of the sacredness of life and birth, and the transition from the physical plane to the spiritual. So we live in a culture that does not help us to grieve or accept death and dying as the natural process of the soul returning to the light. This is the challenge for a culture that's become so materialistic that we've forgotten that we are spiritual beings. We're beings of light and energy. So your story is a magnificent story that affirms all of our stories. And that's why stories are so important. Because the human experience is about loss and grief. And COVID is helping us to see that things are not as they seem now, because they'll never be the same. Humanity is going through this huge time to reinvent who we are and to see our creative energies yearning to express ourselves as the new emerges, as the old becomes invisible. So the grief process is so important to all of us to honor it. And we're all in the same boat. We're grieving now, and it's painful.
And that's why I do believe in the circle tradition of most earth cultures, the wise people who tend to be older, the grandmothers they're called, or the aunties in different traditions like yourself. I learned from you. You've lived it. I haven't yet, and it sucks where I'm at. So tell me how you got through it, right? And the millennials look at me and say, wow, you're 51. Okay. Well, I'm like, yeah, but look what I've, yeah, I've accomplished, but look at what I've lost, right? So it's not a straight line. Living the spiral is not a straight line. And I think that's why intergenerational communities are so important. Well, as women, we learn from other women, generally speaking. It's like someone else is teaching you how to do something. And without that wisdom, we're kind of at a loss, because other people then tell us, and typically it can come, and no disrespect, it has in the past sometimes come from patriarchal systems, especially around women's health and reproduction and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I think these type of events, and I've because my mom lost a child, and she's deeply spiritual, deeply faithful. Like, we had visits from Jesus and Mother Mary in my sister's ICU room, and like, it was very, very magical how she transited. Yet we still have deep pain. So we're not out of the woods, in the sense of we still grieve her. Yet we witnessed this gorgeous experience, and we know there's another place, another dimension, another reality. But without the circles and the communities, I've told my mom, man, I should put her in touch with you, she's 75, that the grandmothers have to unite, but consciously, like not just quietly anymore, right? And see the silver
women must find their voices now.
Right, the silver-haired women, but again, no disrespect, I'm silver too, I just dye it. They have to create the revolution, right? They have to start saying, what are we doing here? Enough.
I like revelation. I like the word revelation.
Yeah, the way I write revolution is re-evolution. It's to go back to where it was more, whatever, peaceful, harmonious, kind, loving. And our systems are just not built that way. Until mortgage companies are told by governments of the world to back off, there's going to be more bankruptcies because of COVID. There'll be more healthy people in a negative financial death that will never be able to recover. And so that's the one piece of the sort of COVID puzzle that's been interesting to people who know to follow the money, is why haven't the bank's been told to back off? And again, I don't have the answer. It's above my pay grade. I'm just, as someone who's like, the system can't continue to support these people. The people want to work. Yeah, we got to maintain health, physical safety, but there's also other curves that are being spiked up, and everyone has to participate. So I just find it interesting, the transfer of business power going to the conglomerates, like the Amazons, the Walmarts, the banks, and the people who, again, entrepreneurs eliminated, small businesses, hair salons, bars gone, music gone, Broadway bankrupt. Like, what are we doing? And again, I don't have the answer. I'm not trying to say it's better. I'm just saying, I'm looking at what's happening and watching and waiting for media, hopefully, to kick in, or people to start to question their MPPs. You know what I mean? To start to put pressure where it needs to go, to ask for stats that are accurate. Like the HWO just recently, when Biden got inaugurated, lowered their assay cycle. So assays are the way they look for the COVID virus. So it's my understanding, again, I'm not a medical practitioner. I'm not, this is my citizen, general person, average Joe comment, is that when you look for too many cycles, everyone's got COVID. Like 45 cycles, you will come out as having a virus called COVID. So that's where there's a lot of false positives in the world. And I'm like, okay, can we get a test that means something to the general masses so we can get a clear picture? And I'm not saying the measures aren't warranted. I'm not debating that. I'm debating how we're measuring things and who's interpreting the data, because
I would say, where are all the numbers coming from?
Yeah. So anyway, again, I'm not trying to make this a COVID conversation. Again, it's above my pay grade. I try to stay out of it. I try to just teach people to be evolved humans, asking good questions, living a right and righteous life, and whatever that means to them, right? Like, whatever your truth is, your truth is.
The most important thing is for us to do that reflection, all of us as one humanity, and to do that inner work of reaching common sense and asking noble questions. Does it make good sense? I often say to people, there's a fine line between genius and insanity.
Right.
And when we're under stress, we cannot make good decisions. I don't care who we are. So the journey inside to do that inner work of reflection is the journey of self-love and self-care. In as much pain as I have had in my life, I also have compassion.
Yeah.
If I don't live more from compassion for myself, I cannot help others to live from compassion.
Right.
We are going through a journey on the planet now where we're beginning to awaken to the power of choice, to get well informed and to ask ourselves good, deep questions. Who am I in this time of life? And how am I called to better care for myself so I can listen to a deeper guidance that helps me to see new possibilities? So as a holistic teacher, and you're talking a lot today, we were referring to the medicine wheel.
Yeah.
And when you look at the medicine wheel, Jennifer, and you look at the fact that we're on a full moon today and the significance of the teachings of ancient beings, indigenous people all over this planet have been sharing their wisdom and knowledge with many of us blessed to be on their path, to understand the significance of the four directions, the significance of what it means to humanity. And on our call today is Nieves, who happens to be a holistic nutritionist. I'm a holistic teacher. Everyone on the path is living from the four directions right now: mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. We're beginning to understand the word wholeness. And wholeness from a Christian perspective, because I'm grounded in the Christian Judaic roots of understanding the message of love. That is a powerful, powerful tool to understand that we are noble beings here to ask good questions. Is what we're doing making good sense? And we all have a responsibility to talk to the ones working so hard in the institution that may not have the wisdom that we bring because we're at the grassroots level.
Yeah. And I also, if I can add, if I can just interject, I agree. And I would say create the alternative is okay. If they want to put out the propaganda of mom's in ICU, she's going to die, don't leave your house. That's the ad the ministry puts out right now. People aren't leaving their houses, literally not going for a walk. Their kids are inside. Like, you know, half the families are like, well, no, my kid needs air and we're going to go for a walk. Other families are like, no, my kid's going to die. So it's to offer the alternative. So for all of us who have a different perspective on the virus and recognizing, yes, it is deadly. And yes, you have to take precautions. And yet we have these natural medicine, these herbs, they change your diet, you know, boost up your immune system, get exercise, get right with Jesus. I'm kidding, you know, your God, your version of it, whatever it is. You know, suck back some good whole foods and
remember how to laugh. Remember how to laugh.
Right, but laugh even during adversity. So, you know, when I coach a lot of clients who are single and saying, oh, COVID, I'm like, no. In the wars, babies were made, you know, in the wars, you know, people found each other. Yeah, maybe it's going to be on a social media app. It's going to suck for a bit, but you know what? Where there's a will, there's a way, and it's all about your attitude. You attract it in, right? Asking the pivot questions. What else is possible? How can it get any better than this? These are from Access Bars. And when you ask those questions, the universe really does change the vibration. And it's amazing how much, like, in my old, my ex-husband was a doctor of natural health sciences. So he had all this immune support stuff in our cupboards. And I'm like, oh, look at this. I'm locked and loaded. Like, I have a lot of things that I can eat now, drink now, ingest, get my body up with my son to help us, you know, beat whatever it is out there while maintaining, you know, whatever social distancing rules, but feeling like I can live through it. So it's choosing life through the adversity, right? And that's where a lot of people are stuck right now. They're very scared. They're very anxious. they're very downtrodden, and they're not saying, okay, well, this is the box I have to operate in. How can it get any better than this?
Yeah, and I really believe that this is a very important conversation. And at this point, Jennifer, because it's a full moon, what is the significance? Can we help those that will be listening to this tape by going to the OWL website at www.Wu-Wei Wellness Learning? All these conversations we tape and the significance of the teachings of the new moon as it relates to coming to today, a full moon. People have the capacity, as you say, to look at their own lives, look at what their choices are, and to ask themselves good questions. Does it really make sense to not go outside and get fresh air? Does it really make good sense if you're blessed to live in a house not to open your windows to get fresh air? Does it really not make good sense to drink a lot of water and to care for ourselves better now so that our immune systems are so high, we don't live from fear, we live from a proaction of caring for our health, which is a huge shift from fearing death and fearing disease to a consciousness that says, physician, heal thyself. Be still and listen to thyself, which is what the ancient psalmist wrote thousands of years ago.
Yeah, and I just picked a stillness card in my decks here. I have, of course, as many people know, I do a lot of card readings on camera, and it's like the stillness of just being close to. And again, when you raise, like, I know you're a river keeper type of consciousness for good reason. I've been a business advocate of freshwater systems for a very long time. I'm part of the Canadian Council, which protects water, our Canadian rights to our water, because most people don't know that the water rights in Canada are going to the US. They're actually US owned. If like Lake Erie or one of the big ones goes and we need water, that water goes somewhere else. It's not going to Canadians. And it's shocking. Like you just talk about the Blue Water Project. And I'm like, well, isn't that our resource that we need? And isn't that something that we need to protect? So it's all about, the sewage dumps here in the Ottawa River and the chlorine and the fluoride in our water systems. And, a lot of my friends pay a lot of money for clean water systems because they want to make sure the water is as pure as possible. A lot of people we know go to Wakefield and grab the spring water, right, from that beautiful spring just out at Wakefield for good reason, or they drink distilled water. People don't realize some basic elements can really help. There's a water project. It's actually a really cool water symposium. You'd have to Google it. I don't have the title clear in my mind. It's a panel of doctors that would suggest if you do a water fast for 3 days, you can start rebooting your cells. That not only will you lose weight in terms of like eating the fat cells, but that stem cells and like certain chemical reactions start to change. And if you do it for 7 days, it's even better. And I started looking at the stats because these were medical doctors. These aren't not Cracker Jacks. These people have MDs from respected universities. I think the panel was angling out from cancer, like from a cancer space. But I was listening to it going, isn't that interesting that something so simple.
Yeah.
And I'm about to do the water cleanse for my own just mental like clarity, just right sizing things. Again, everyone has to do their own research. You have to follow your own doctor's orders. I'm not a medical practitioner. I'm not advocating anything. I'm just saying when you look at some of the basic elements of good living, simple living, it can really reconstitute or reset things in the right direction. Moon cycles. Now, there's a lot of debate. So here's where it's really interesting. There's a line in the sand between the New Agers that say the new moon is about new beginnings and the full moon is about endings. The Wicca, the Druid, the older traditions say, you guys got it wrong, that the new moon is dark and things are just forming. So that's when you release things. And the full moon is illuminated and bringing all the glory into a new intention. So in terms of what you do on a moon ritual, it depends on which tradition you adhere to. So even if you Google something or research something on DuckDuck, whatever, you will see astrologers talk about, the metaphysical way, the New Age way. But then if you go down the rabbit hole a bit to sort of perhaps more closed communities, they will say, no, you guys got it wrong. So it depends, again, what tradition you believe in. So the general working operating knowledge was new moons, new beginnings, full moons, endings. But since I have changed my perspective based on watching and listening to the cycles and other people, so I believe it's the opposite. I believe new moons are about letting things go, and full moons are about a positive intention. Having said that, there is no wrong ritual. So there will be nothing bad happen to you or your good thoughts or your intentions if you light a candle, you say a prayer, right? You burn a piece of paper with your words, your wishes, your goals on it. You make an offering to Creator. So there's no bad there, you know. And again, it depends on which traditions you want to listen to. All I would invite you to do is recognize there is a debate between two camps about what each moon does and why it does it. And I would just invite you to research yourself what makes sense for you. So this wolf is a wolf moon. It's a moon sign, like it's in Leo. And right now Leo's pushing us for around romance and tribe and community and cooperation, collaboration, and romance. The wolf moon was named by, you know, the ancient peoples back in the day. Some people suggest, the Farmer's Almanac would suggest that perhaps wolves cry when they're hungry, when they're lonely, when they're looking for their pack, when they're hunting, right? They're trying to call in community.
Yeah.
Right. So tonight I'm online actually on a Zoom activation. It's a 2-hour experience on Zoom at 7:30. It's called Wolf Full Moon Activation. It's only $22, where I'll be energetically helping the participants really connect to their soul tribe, their community, really calling in their collaborators, the people that are here to be their angel investors, their partners. Romance, for those of you who are single, it still can happen, bringing in, you know, that sense of the other and that other support. And for those of you who are consciously single, bringing in the alchemy of the divine masculine and the divine feminine within yourself. So there's many ways to handle a moon. You can charge crystals, sacred objects. You can go for a walk and do moon bathing. You can take a sea salt bath. You can smudge your space. There's many things you can do. It depends on your tradition.
Well, thank you, Jennifer, because a lot of people that are on the path of spirituality, what we're beginning to understand are there are many diverse perspectives. And so the journey of each soul is the journey to know thyself and to listen to your own heart, which goes back to my opening of reading of that beautiful poem. My sense is a lot of the grandmothers tell me that the longest journey that we will ever take is the journey from opening the mind to open the heart, to begin to listen intuitively to what is our own unique truth. And there are many truths, but the journey is to find your own truth. And there are many diverse, beautiful perspectives. And each person I meet brings a little bit of love and light, which is consciousness, to help me begin to listen deep inside what is intuitively speaking to me as something I can now see that I might not have been able to see before. So this journey towards the new, we're living on the planet and we're going through a great transition now between the old and the new. And so it's kind of like a labor for birth, a labor of humanity beginning to awaken to the best inside ourselves. And to know that we are in fear, and that usually is based on an energy of ego. And another energy is an energy of spirit, the energy of who we are as energy in our hearts. But if we get so disconnected from our hearts, our bodies get paralyzed with pain. And we live from deep emotional trauma and stress. So the work that you do to help people emerge from all those different ways of being in pain, to be breaking through, to live more from compassion for themselves, to do whatever speaks to them, to honor their own soul's journey, that we all have lessons and experiences in life. And every event and every experience that all of us have had up until today has prepared us to go through these times. And we are ready. And some of us are more ready than others. And the ones of us that are more ready than others must have greater compassion to hold space for the ones in great fear. So when I talked about our opening today about space holders being so important, I would strongly suggest for those of you that find that going through this experience is a little less intrusive to you, be sure to hold space for the ones you know living alone that may not have conversations with friends. And make sure you look after your own energy so that you will have the energy to call friends that could really enjoy your voice saying, just checking in to see how you're coping through, and the key word here is through COVID-19, to transform the highest good of humanity, to live what the prophecies are talking about, to create that peace and heaven on earth for all future generations. We're going through a process of knowing thyself and being true to ourselves. And this is a time to do that silence, to do that deep inner work. And seeing that alone time, for me, it's a sabbatical time. It's time to get out of the rushing and to begin to get the clarity of what are the important things in every new moon that I want to let go of to create space for what I want to create for my life now. So that's a simple strategy every 30 days. And after 30 days to celebrate, I actually did something new. I created a new pattern that's for my higher good now. So those are simple strategies we can all use. So as we come to completion, I know you only had an hour, and I'm blessing the fact that
I just wanted to, I pulled some cards while you were talking, because again, I echo your sentiments. I would also just add that it's also not to judge another for being wrong. It's there's a lot of bullying on social media, both sides of whatever coin happens to be, on both sides of the border, a lot of judgment, and everyone's where they're supposed to be. Everyone has a part on the path, whether you like it or not. And you know, at the end of the day, I think it's like you said, do do what you need to do. You know, here in Ottawa, we have neighborhoods calling on each other, like people calling bylaw. There's, you know, like ratting each other out, and like policing, and like being online social media wise, I want to get off of it like entirely. I was like, this is not the space for me to have a dialogue. You know, you're immediately this or that, you're being pigeonholed. And again, it's just in having compassion for self, we also have to extend that non-judgment to others, even people we don't agree with, that we may not like, right? They also have a purpose and a role in this matrix. And it's hard to swallow when, you know, either they're really polarized opposite to you, or they're coming at you in a really kind of harsh and negative way. So I would just ask people to, you know, invite them. Non-judgment is part of this spiritual evolution. Is if you're judging someone else, you're an ego.
Yeah, and I often say to people, Jennifer, when people are manifesting an energy that makes us feel uncomfortable, sometimes they're my greatest teacher, because they're showing a little bit of my own darkness, because we're made of two energies here. And we forget that. I think we do an awful lot of judging in our culture of this and that and yin and yang. We're actually two energies working together. And I think that when you look at collaborative effort and working together, I think we have, first, if you can't work with your own self to be less judgmental on yourself, how can you be less judgmental for another person? So every person that thinks differently will bring a little bit of light for me to see that, hey, they've nudged me to see something I might not have seen until they had that conversation that they felt so passionate about, that it felt like it was coming on too strong. But to bless them that they have every right to have an opinion, as does everybody. But I think there's something better than an opinion. Everyone has one of those. But how about widening our perspectives to see that in a conversation that's healthier, we can take the space to listen to both each other's perspective, and to see we may be years away in age and perspective, but somewhere in between what you said and I said, there's something that can be in common. And
Oh,
Western
absolutely.
Commons?
Yeah.
Speaking of, sorry to interject here, speaking of listening to perspectives, since we're just at the end of, almost at the end of the time, because I want to be the timekeeper here. Jennifer, you said you had just an hour? Or
Yes, so I just wanted to end with a quick, I'll thank everyone for listening and whoever's listening on live. And
do you have time to take any questions or comments from anybody who?
Yeah, so I'll just
Okay.
finish the card, and then if anyone has a question, then I'm happy to try and answer it. So the authentic voice card came up before. So we're all here to speak our truth, respecting other people's truths, recognizing they have had their own experiences that have led them to their conclusions, right? So not all of us know another person's story. The other card that was attached to that is heart healing. Again, like Judith is saying, we need to bring more compassion to our work, ourselves, our lives, our neighbors, and people that we don't like. Embracing the crane, it's good luck, right? We're embracing a new reality. We're embracing ourselves. We're embracing, it's just giving everyone a good hug. It's embracing the new. It's like going through the, like as Andrea said here on the chat box, it's the other side of the black hole, emerging into a new awareness of our unlimited nature. And that's from Andrea, who's on the panel. First power comes up. Again, it's like when you're in divine contemplation, we are protected by our ancestors. What's that? Our guides, our angels, creator, whatever you believe, whatever your system says, there is much more out there than ourselves, and I can guarantee you that.
Jennifer, could you lift that card up once more? We couldn't see the bottom. Could you put the card up one more time?
Oh yeah, sorry.
We can't see the bottom. What is it?
Yeah, it's up. Can you see that now?
What's the name?
So it's called First Ray of Power.
Thank you.
It's called First Ray of Power.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a woman looking up with wings, looking up at her higher self, and her Buddhic nature, her Christ presence, her authentic self, and being at peace. The card again I picked was stillness on the lake, and being still with the emotions, trying to balance things. A lot of water element because we're in the snow right now. Water would be great. Just lying in the snow would be a great thing to do. So yeah, if there's any questions before
we could make angels.
Right.
Why don't we all make angels today?
I've been doing that. I've been doing snow angels in my backyard.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions or comments for Jennifer, if they'd like to share.
Thank you, Jennifer. My daughter's 13 and a half. I forget how old your son.
How is she? I knew her when she was a baby.
I forget how old your son is now.
He's 8.
Oh my goodness. And now in school or at home?
He's physical. Well, he's in physical school. He's returning to school because they've just re-announced the opening. Yeah.
Okay. My goodness. Well, bless you for that. Now the
and
deck
say
of
hi to
cards.
Angelina for me. What?
Oh, thank you. So she's a very much still an artist. She has an idea every day. I told her, like, get yourself a journal book. Just keep on journaling because, of course, she is half day. So she's doing the unschooling school. So a little bit about, living her passions, but then also, figuring out some of the classes that do inspire her to stay focused.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
So we've been engaged with the unschoolingschool.com, I think it is. But anyways, what is the deck of cards that you were using? What's the
I have several decks that I've been using. So I can list them somewhere. One was the Earth Magic deck by Stephen Farmer.
Okay.
One was the Crystal Mandela deck from Doreen Virtue. One was the Sacred Destiny deck by Denise Lynn. And one was the Sacred Rebel. No,
I like that
forget
one.
this one. Alana Fairchild, though.
Okay, awesome.
I love
thank
the
you
Sacred Rebel.
so much.
Yeah, I have all the kick-ass decks, Judith. I only do kick-ass stuff.
Well, Jennifer, thank you very much. It was very interesting to hear your path. And I just wanted to make the comment as a holistic teacher that we really need to question everything and right now. And specifically, in the health field, how things are done, because it's never been humane. It hasn't. I know there are doctors who have a lot of compassion, and the good doctors. I'm not talking about them personally. I'm talking about the system. And I say that, and I gave birth to my sons. I have 3 sons at home. purposely because I did not want to go to a hospital. But I also have to add that I can relate to you and your pain because my brother also died in 2017 of cancer. And that was very, very hard for my mom and for me. And my mom, it was her second son that she lost.
Oh, wow.
She's a
I'm
very
sorry.
powerful woman, very powerful. She's alive and happy and bringing happiness to the world. And she's remarkable. I don't know how I would have done that if I was her. But anyway, in any case, I was able to thank God or the angels or the universe that he decided to come home for his last 2 weeks of life. So then I was his guardian and I helped him to die.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, it's like giving birth at home or in
Yeah.
your own space. I'm not saying
Yeah.
everybody should do
Yeah.
it. This is a choice and it exists. And that was like a completely different thing. My mom and I talk about it a lot as how healing it was to have to be done that way, that he left that way. And it was very powerful. So we need to question everything they do, everything, and not trust. We need to look into ourselves, our intuition, like Judith was saying, your cards were perfect, going to your heart. This is the time of this is a very strong energies of awakening. I was organizing a workshop with my friend, and I was saying that I'm going to say that, I'm going to give this message to people. People can heal 100%. And she said to me, no, you can't say that. And I say, yes, I can. The doctors do not have the monopoly. Of course we can heal. We have these powerful, amazing bodies, and we can heal 100%. Just give them the opportunity.
Yeah.
So,
and let me just interject. I thank you for sharing your story. I'm sorry to hear about your loss as well. I still find it interesting that cancer is still killing people more than COVID, and we're not talking about cancer anymore.
That's the pandemic.
So that's just me, because when my sister Penny was dying, one of her drugs was $140,000. That's 140,000. That was one drug, and we're a middle-class family. And she was a government employee, had the government, access to whatever. And I don't know how it's built that way. And it was just insane, overwhelming. If you're a government worker who's getting cancer, you have to put up 3 months of salary up front. It's not paid back. You have to find 3 months salary. Tell that to a single mother, who my sister was, getting a diagnosis of cancer, that she has to find, whatever that was, let's say, 5 times $15,000 right off the bat. That's not even a radiation treatment, which is $1,000 a shot. That's not experimental drugs. So having said that, my sister, I believe in the system. I don't not trust the system. However, I do feel that the average person is not treated with grace or kindness by a lot of medical professionals. I, unfortunately, in my story, this is not everyone's story, did not have a good rotation of doctors. We basically got every asshole possible, no disrespect, that, challenged us. And I finally had to use my priest, our family priest had to intervene. I had to put my medical power of attorney in my sister's file to say, okay, this is who I am. This is who you are. This is my sister. She's my sister. Your patient. Let's talk now, or else we're not going to get along. We fired one doctor because of the way she was treating my sister. And people don't realize you can do that. You have the right. And I'm trying to create an equal playing field of humanity. The doctor has an expert.
I'm losing you. Can you hear her okay, or it's just me?
We just lost the connection.
So do I.
I think Jennifer.
They're expert in their field. I don't. If I've got they're have to go to a doctor. I just want to say, I'm not trying to create mistrust. For me, it's an equal, compassionate bedside manner, knowing patients' rights, knowing families' rights, really working with ombudsmen, the social workers, your local priest. Thank God we belong to a church, because it was his intervention that got their attention, and his suggestion of me putting the power of attorney in her file. And, we were a family losing someone. We were living there 24/7.
Yeah,
we were beyond tapped out. So, again, our case was very specific. It was a long journey. I pray and hope that other people don't get that. But all I'm saying is advocate for yourself. Ask kindly, respectfully, ask for another opinion, ask to talk to a senior member of staff. Keep escalating a situation if your gut is telling you to do something, like in any arena though, like not just the hospitals, not.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, we lost you, Jennifer. Are you there? Can you hear us?
And again, we do lifestyle for cancer. It's all about, what's that?
No, we lost you for a second, but you came back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it might be my connection. So again, big pharma running cancer. We're not teaching people about whole foods, juicing,
we have to look holistically at the environment. The basic thing that I think we're talking about is when I went into palliative care ministry in a hospital context, there were 1 out of 8 people being diagnosed with cancer. That was in 1990.
Right.
The last statistic I heard was roughly 1 out of every 2 or 3 people are being diagnosed with an immune disease with a label called cancer. We must look at the stress people are living through, and we must look at the basics. Now, one of the reasons that I sense that we're on a journey of awakening is the infrastructure that we've created lost its capacity to have care and compassion. In the 90s, they had palliative care teams, hospice teams that worked in conjunction with the medical establishment to care for the full person, the whole person. That meant the mental, emotional, and spiritual needs of the person, as well as the physical. And you're right, Jennifer, in those days, you could have your families come and be advocates, so that families that were going through grief at the same time as the person that was in the transition of living through a disease could be treated as a full family, and the family could be heard as they journeyed through making wiser choices and decisions, listening to the person who was the key person living through the experience. What did they want to be done in helping them to either heal so they could make a transition in complete harmony and peace, or could they be healed and cured so they could actually come out of the hospital in a time in which they could have a greater quality of life for a longer time. Now, one of the things cancer patients kept telling me when I was ministering to their spiritual needs was, for them, the cancer became a gift for them at some point. And I would say, well, why would you say cancer became a gift for you at this time? And they say, because it made me change my life. So when we're looking at disease and imbalance, I think we're living in a culture that denies death, and that's at the whole crux of everything. And when you look at the stress that are put on doctors because they're conditioned to save lives, no matter what they need to do, if they don't save a life, it's terribly traumatic for them. And I remember looking into the eyes of a doctor when my mother was on her deathbed with lung cancer. And she looked at this doctor and said, "Doctor, I just want you to tell me the truth." And I remember watching this poor doctor in so much pain. He could not look in my mother's eyes and tell her, "Mrs. King, you have 2 or 3 days left of life." He could not look at her. He had to walk away.
Yeah.
Now, the amount of pain and stress that are on our Western doctors right now, who are human beings suffering a great deal as well, because they're in a system that it's under siege because it does not work. We've forgotten our capacity to treat our full human beings as people with souls and lives and families, and we all have pain. But if we keep running away from the pain, we keep manifesting internalized emotions with the environment where we have pharmaceutical companies that make a great deal of money making medications. And the poor body, how it ever survives all these medications is absolutely beyond me.
It's very strong. Yes, I thought about that. It's a very strong body. Sorry to interrupt you, but I want to say something really important now that we're here. And this is very, very significant for we Canadians. My friend, Robin McGee, she got sick with cancer years ago, and she had a terrible, terrible mistake from her doctors. She calls them from 3 doctors, Dr. 1, 2, and 3. Anyway, she ended up writing a book. Her book is called The Cancer Olympics. But and she's come out of it. But the thing is, and she's on the treatment, this is years ago, but the thing is, she became one of the most successful and aggressive, and I say aggressive because she's persistent, but not with aggression, but with, like, you know, the intention and of the defender of the patient's rights. She realized that we meaning patients, I don't like to use that word, the clients, I'm changing the wording, okay? We need to change everything. So the clients are completely unprotected. So right now, I'm asking you to send this, no, I'm asking you, no, I'm sending this petition, which is due on February 8th. Take a look at it. Just if you click on it, Judith, I can send it to you privately, but if you guys click on it right now, you will keep it open in your phone or your browser. And
preferred by email for me.
I will send it because I have your emails, but for the people who are here attending, take a look at it and you will be shocked to learn that we doctors have a lot of protection. They have thousands of dollars, our money, by the way, to protect them with lawyers and stuff. And we, the clients, have no protection. So this is a very interesting petition for you to read that she brought to my attention, and they needed 40 signatures, and that was 3 weeks ago, but this is due in February 8th. So yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that out because it's true what, you know, there's so much to change, and we can change it because first of all, we disagree with it. So if we don't agree with it, it doesn't happen. So step number 1, right? And then we take action. So just wanted to
and again, all I will say is, again, I just don't want to leave this public forum thinking my sister had a difficult experience on her story, which taught me and my mom a lot. I believe in the medical system in general. I believe in humanity in general. I believe in the power of experts. I believe that most doctors are there for the right reasons. Unfortunately, in my situation, we got the ones that didn't look at us with humanity enough for my specific, you know, level of comfort. Out of like maybe a team of 10, we had 2 that we really trusted, and the others we were always on guard with. So again, you can't always pick and choose who you get in the emergency room, you know, who's going to stitch you up, who's going to do it. But sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can have a voice, you can ask for things. And all I'm suggesting is just people remain respectful and kind. But when your intuition is telling you something, ask for support, keep asking what else is possible, keep looking at the infrastructures. The hospitals do have ombudsmen, they do have social workers, they do have great doctors. It's not everybody. We cannot label everybody, them as bad and us as good. It's an integrative approach, and that's what's trying to happen. It's slow because big business and big pharma is driving the dollars and the funding for the medical systems, the equipment. You know, it's a big business. Hospitals cost. I tell you, I want a hospital if my kid's sick. We're going. Now, is he going to also have a doctor of Chinese medicine? Damn straight. Is he also going to have, you know, an integrative team behind him? Yes. So for me, it's a collaborative approach. And I just think in the past, we were trained or trained to believe whatever they say is good, right? Whatever they say is right, or the final word. And, you know, it's not always the case. And all I'm saying is there's room for improvement. And it's about bringing your sense of identity and power and presence into any experience you have with anybody in authority around you, whether that's a boss, a parent, a practitioner, you know, whatever role.
Yeah, I always say to people that don't give your power away, meaning that you you know more about your body. Doctors are experts about disease and they are wonderful. But we're talking about the system being sick here, not the people. The people, they have good hearts, good intentions. They're amazing. Our medicine has advanced in one certain levels, really, really amazing. But it's the system. We need to change the system because it's not an humane system. And let's not give our power away, because that is the number one thing.
Yeah. And I just want to add to that, Jennifer, I think what we're finding in these conversations is we have.
Yeah, and we change the system by changing ourselves, right?
Well, I think we have to
change
get
the
better
system by
at finding
having.
our voices. We have to get better at finding our voices in a good way, to realize that the system needs us as much as we need the system. And the system, be it democracy or our institutions of care, they need to have our voices and our perspectives heard in a good way for us to reflect on what did we learn and how can we help make suggestions that we can improve our society and our culture to be a more caring, compassionate culture based on the pain we've experienced. And what did we learn from that pain? How can we do better? They're working so hard, they don't have time to learn. But every time a patient comes, a client comes and says, asking a question is really important because it helps them to do their job better. So if we can ask more noble questions of how can we help you help us get better, and if we get better at sharing our story, what is our issue that's our concern where we're seeing you today, and how can I work with you, doctor, for you to work with me to help me become more healthy? I want to be as responsible for you helping me as I am for helping me. I think for too long, this culture has expected doctors to create magic with no responsibility for the citizen to get better at caring for ourselves and for each other. So I think it's—
And I'll end there for me because I do have to go now because I stayed on a lot longer than I thought.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
I'll just say thank you to everybody. And again,